Coming up on Business Live, government to expand technology infrastructure in the 6 newly created regions. We will hear from the Communications Minister. Also, Association of Oil Marketing Companies in talks with the Ghana Revenue Authority to extend tax payment date. And as the country's tourism sector opens up to revelers amid COVID-19, we engage the Tourism Authority on the prospects. I'm Israel Lai, and Business Live continues in a bit. Now, government in 2021 will embark on a massive technology infrastructure for rural and underserved communities in the 6 newly created regions. The move is aimed at driving businesses and investment into the areas in order to create employment and boost economic activities there. Speaking to journalists at the end of the Girls in ICT program in the Oti region, Minister for Communications Slosu Ekofo hinted the president has tasked the ministry and the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communication (GIFEC) to ensure that infrastructure for internet connectivity is provided to all unserved rural areas.
We wait for the telecoms companies to do their own expansion, and they will go where it is commercially viable. So smaller communities, rural areas, underserved areas are usually left behind. We can't continue to expand our networks at that pace. So government has got a facility now, has gone for a loan to be able to extend the infrastructure to all the unserved and underserved communities which currently don't have networks. And once that is done, the network operators will provide the service because it's expensive. And if they are not getting a return on their investment, they will not invest in it. But if government is taking the cost of expanding the infrastructure there, then they will deliver their services on it. That's what we're doing. And we've given ourselves 1 year. The processes have already started. The first lot of equipment is arriving at the end of this month. We will start rolling out in October, and hopefully within 12 months, 2,016 communities which currently do not have networks will be connected. We're looking at another technology that will enable us to expand existing networks to another 500 plus communities. We're hopeful that once that is done, the entire country will be connected with both voice and data capabilities. And so it will enable everybody in every part of this country to also engage with the digital revolution which is currently unfolding. We're doing a lot of our financial services on our mobile devices using mobile money. If you don't have a network, you can't be part of that. We've seen how virtual learning, online education has also become critical during this COVID era. Without stable networks, you can't be part of that. We've seen how even telemedicine and remote consulting is becoming part of our health delivery systems. You need a stable network for that to happen. Many offices, businesses are operating virtually. We've just had a Zoom conference with our mentors. Without stable connectivity, you cannot have that. So it is imperative that we treat network connectivity like we treat access to electricity or water as a basic utility. And this government has put a serious emphasis on it, and it is one of our priority areas because of our focus on digitizing, formalizing our economy through digitization. We need that robust infrastructure to make that happen, and we're working with all the telecoms companies and the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communications to make it happen.
The Association of Oil Marketing Companies says it is still engaging the Ghana Revenue Authority to extend its 45-day tax payment beyond the first window of August. Chairman of the association, Johnny Blagoji, added other businesses' indebtedness makes any time shorter than 45 days problematic.
Payment from industry and other areas have slowed down because the activities have obviously slowed down.
And how's that affecting the tax payments?
So that it's made tax collections difficult for members, and for the delays in tax payments We have negotiated with GRA, and part of it was extended, and I think it ends at the end of September.
Do you think that you still need some level of extension?
I think so. We seriously need some extension because it has made the payment cycle very close, so that raising money to save to pay subsequent ones will become a problem for our members. So we are in discussion with GRA actually in this respect. I know NPA is working on some automation systems that can be used to sort of track payment of taxes, and you pay as you sell. If you don't sell the stock and it's in the tank, how can you pay? You go to we've borrowed money from the banks and we are tight as a result of that. You know, somebody far up in the north would have traveled with the product for 2 or 5 days before getting to the station, you know, and you have only 21 days. So that stock will be kept in the tank.
Now, Continental Blue Investment Ghana Limited, producer of Super cement in the country, is optimistic it will double its production capacity in the coming year despite the impact of COVID-19. After donating over 3,000 cement bags to some 3 institutions in Accra to help complete ongoing projects, the board chairman of the company, Paul Albrecht, said his outfit is set to increase its production using enhanced technology that is eco-friendly for the production of quality cement products. Fred Doho has more in the following report.
Blue Investment Ghana Limited, producers of Super cement, has donated over 3,000 cement bags to the Detective Training Academy of the Ghana Police Service at Tesano, the Ghana Air Force at Bema Camp, and Ewutu Breku Traditional Council in support of their ongoing projects. The donation, according to the board chairman, Paul Albrecht, is the company's commitment in ensuring professionals are well trained through increased capacity. He further said COVID-19 pandemic, though had impacted negatively on many businesses, brings enormous opportunities.
Globally, more than 4,000 bags. And our aim and target is to assist all this development, all this new way of improving the situation in terms of lodging, as mentioned, but also in terms of training schools and this kind of thing. If we can be of assistance, we will be very, very happy. Due to the period of COVID, we were very concerned by the assistance, the help towards our staff, the way of containing this disease. We have been very careful about the way of organizing the work and things like this. Situation has not been easy, but I must say the production used to go and is going well, and things are continuously improving. Look, our target as a company is to improve the production, to improve different kind of quality, but also to invest in new program of other building material. We will be keeping you informed on that. Regarding the cement capacity, we are really studying new way of producing cement, more environmental friendly with to save CO2, but also target is to double the capacity.
Managing Director of Super Cement expressed concern about the substandard cement products on the market. He urged the Ghana Standard Authority to increase its surveillance activities to prevent inferior products from getting on the market.
Ghana is a very competitive market with a lot of players. We are betting on quality cement to try and make a difference. We are trying our best. We are doing not too bad, but it's a very competitive market. In terms of pricing, in terms of numbers of players, in terms of quantities of players, production capacities, currently Ghana is in excess of production. Yes, by more than 40%. So it's not an easy market. If you look compared to the rest of West Africa, Ghana is one of the lowest. if it's not the lowest. It has always been. Now, the price of cement is a very important component, and it's an important component above us. But what is actually is cheap cement or too cheap will be to the detriment of quality. And we believe that doing the right thing is what we need to do. So we need a strong intervention from Ghana Standards Authority with whom we are working actually to try and ensure best practice in the market, because some players are not playing with the same cards than the others. And that's why we need to make sure that the quality is the right one.
The representatives of the Ghana Police Service, COP Isaac Kenyeboa, and Ghana Air Force Air Commodore Jacob Enum Ashirifie were of full praise for SuperSem.
We are very appreciative of the fact that they've given us this thing, and it will help us continue with our project, and then the cost is going to reduce our cost, and then we can use the money for other projects. Just saw our need, and then they came around to inspect the project that we are doing, and I think they saw the need for them to give us assistance, and that's why they came. And surprisingly, when they came around, they saw that we are using the same product, and so that, I think, motivated them to even increase the quantity that they wanted to give us. Initially, they said they were going to give us 200, then 500, and now 800.
It will go a long way in assisting us in providing the needed resources to bridge the accommodation and general infrastructure gap. Actually, we have currently ongoing several projects across the bases. We have a dormitory and flats ongoing in Tamale. We also intend improving the ramp for loading and discharge of passengers and cargo on and off our aircraft. To quantify this donation, I believe, will be to undervalue it. We do have a budget, but as we are all aware, the government resources does not cover 100%. So whatever budgets we have and whatever timelines we have for completing the project, this will come a long way in assisting. At least it will facilitate the quick completion of the project for us.
SuperSem, one of Ghana's leading brands in the production of cement, believes the market price of cement in the country remains one of the lowest in the West African sub-region. Fred Duho reporting for Joy Business.
Now, despite having to pay fees to various tourist sites across the country, patrons are often made to endure infrastructure defects, which leaves them shortchanged. Fred Duho visited some sites in the Volta region and has been interacting with managers of some of the tourist sites there. According to them, monies generated are shared among community leaders, and the rest used for community development. Will bring you that story a lot later. But to help put all these into perspective, we're joined via Zoom by the Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Ajimang. Good evening, and thank you for joining us, Mr. Ajimang.
Good evening, Israel. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So this is a challenge that many tourists are having to grapple with. They go to a tourist site, they pay fees, and yet they are left shortchanged because we're not giving them value for money. Is this something, or how is the Ghana Tourism Authority looking at addressing this challenge?
All right, thanks, Israel. I think we're aware of this. We've been aware of this as far back as 2017. So this is nothing new. But what we have done to address it is to bring into being a new LI, a new law, LI 2393, which will regulate tourist sites and attractions. And that LI is very specific on the management, the ownership, the advisory boards, and everything that you have to do. And so this came into being somewhere in February 2020. We've been working at it since 2017, went through a lot of stakeholder engagements. And in December 2019, on the 23rd of December, that was one of the last items that was laid in the House, and it became law somewhere in February. And so currently we are seeking to regulate these tourist sites and attractions with this LI. And that LI is very, very specific on having the District Assembly, the Traditional Authority, and the Ghana Tourism Authority as part of the governing boards of all the tourist sites and attractions. And also, there is a sharing formula and a sharing ratio. I mean, in terms of actually regulating these sites, we'll be looking to have certain facilities in place. And so basic amenities like washrooms, infirmaries, access to a nearby hospital, having a proper manager of the site, and also ensuring that the money collected are distributed per the formula that will be agreed per each location. Because there are some locations that have been, over the years, owned by communities. They've made investments into that. So yes, the law will recognize those investments made in those communities and those tourist sites. But be it as it may, the overarching theme will be that every site will have a proper management structure in place, will have a sharing ratio, and monies that are generated will be reinvested in the site. We have that model currently working in Kintampo, where we have the Traditional Authority, GTA, and the District Assembly, and it's working very perfectly. Every monies that are generated are shared among these three entities, and a certain portion goes back into maintenance and redevelopment of the site.
Right. Can we then assume that all the tourist sites generate enough revenue to be able to take care of themselves and fix whatever challenges or maintain these facilities? Or there are some that don't make enough money? And if they don't make enough money, how do we address that?
Yeah, so for those that, I don't think all of them are making enough. I mean, but for those that don't make enough, we are addressing it with some of our redevelopment plans that we have in place. So for example, if we take a site like Bunsu, if you go there now, we've developed it as an eco park, and we have made that investment utilizing the Tourism Development Fund. So that is the reason why we have a Tourism Development Fund, and one of the areas of investment are these sites. How do you bring it up to a certain level? And so for those that don't have the necessary funding, we go in there, partner with the local community and the Traditional Authority and Assembly, and then we put in the investment with the understanding that these investments are going to enhance the product. So it's not just providing washrooms, but we are looking at what value-added services or value products that can we add to these sites to make sure that they are generating enough. Indeed, the model has worked in Kintampo. It is working in Anomabu. We are currently working in Bunsu. We have one in Tafi Atome. All these sites are going through these upgrades, and we believe strongly that with the diversification of the product, it will help generate the needed revenue for them to be on their feet and on their own.
All right, that's all well and good, but COVID has happened. There's been a pandemic, and for many months, most of these tourist sites haven't had any visitors coming in, which would mean that there's no revenue or very little revenue coming their way. This would mean then that we would have to put in quite a bit of money to put these places in shape for the tourists to not come. Is there a plan like that?
Yeah, there's a plan. Actually, there is a Ghana Tourism Development Project that we are working on. We've currently signed about 11 MOUs with some of these sites to bring in the necessary investments to improve it. And then also under the World Bank project, there's a grant component, and we've encouraged most of these sites to apply for these grants. There's a site upgrade component which has $4 million. And for most of these sites, what they are requiring to keep body and soul going is not that much. And so we are hoping that they will put in place the necessary paperwork to apply. Indeed, as at the last check, we had about 23 or so sites that had already applied through the grant processes that have been put in place. And we are hoping that more sites can, once the second window is open, they can apply, and then they will be able to be granted some of these grants to upgrade their sites. But on our own, working with the Tourist Development Fund Secretariat, we are hoping that we can bring some development into some of these sites. Some sites also applied for the MBSSI stimulus package, and we are hoping that they will also get something to keep the site open and keep things going. So those are all things that are coming together at the right time. I mean, thankfully with the opening up of our airports and then also with our push for domestic tourism, we are hoping that very soon they will start seeing the numbers. Indeed, some of them have reported that there is some steady growth, but it's not to the level that one would have expected. So we're keeping hope alive.
Now, another thing that's going to happen, September 29, we're expecting Qatar Airways to begin to fly to Ghana. This would definitely also mean that we're going to have a lot more tourists coming in. From all that you've said, can we expect that when the tourists start coming in, they will come to these places and not feel shortchanged? They will be in good shape. They would have been spruced up, so then the tourists can enjoy.
Not at all. We are working very closely with Assamese traditional authorities, and we have identified also some of the hotspots or the areas of interest. As you will recall, last week we unveiled the 7 pillars for the Beyond the Return, and we've already started seeing some major bookings being made by tour operators. And so we are quite hopeful. And Qatar Airways has really put the icing on the cake for us, because all that we've been doing is to try and drive inflows into the destination Ghana. And from what we hear, not just Qatar Airways coming in, we know most of the airlines that are yet to operate have also indicated that very soon they will start coming back into destination. So that's happy news. That's good news for us. We know that Qatar Airways coming in also means that in their crew, if you take the crew, at every given time, some hotels will have the bookings of the airline crew. I mean, they will be adding on to the other 35 airlines that are operating. And so that is good news for us, and it's something that we all celebrate. But we're hoping that it's not just the crew coming in, we can drive in the numbers. And through marketing, through stimulating the demand, we are very, very hopeful that the last quarter will see some growth. We've taken a big hit in the past 2 quarters, but we are very, very hopeful that the last quarter will give us some good returns.
All right, thank you very much. Akwesi Ajamang is Chief Executive of the Ghana Tourism Authority. Now let's go back and get to listen to how the funds these sites take or collect from the tourists are used.
Foreign visitors, we can have about 200, 300 Ghanaian visitors, like 500 and all those things.
In a month or in a
month, yes. So
and how much do you charge Ghanaian tourists and the foreigners?
The foreign visitors, we take 10 cedis per head.
Okay.
And the group also we negotiate. And the Ghanaian visitors, we take 2 cedis. Students, we take about 50 pesos from them. A lot of visitors came last year.
Okay.
The year of return, we receive a lot of visitors.
The revenue you generate from, these tourists, where does it go to?
It goes into the account of the Ghana Museums and Monument Board. They are the custodians of all the fort and castles.
So receiving the amounts over the years, what did they tell you? What explanation have they been giving you as to what they use the money for while the place keeps deteriorating?
Yeah, you know, the money is not anything to write home about, something small. They need money. Renovation involves a lot. So that's why I'm saying that unless other donors or UNESCO, International Council of Monument and Site, they come together to help museum by putting up the fort.
Those large numbers that were coming by then, at times we can have about 1,000 people here. When you talk of Easter Monday, in fact, you would not like to be here because the whole place will be crowded. Some vehicles have to go and park at the border post, and all the place will be congested with human beings. The Ghanaian adults pay 15 cedis per head. The kids, depending on their age, some of them 2 cedis, 5 cedis. Our Ghanaian students pay 8 cedis. Those in the tertiary schools, like universities, for instance, they pay 8 cedis. But at the same time, when the number exceeds 20 people, it comes down to half the normal price.
Oh, where does all this money go to?
We have what we call the tourism management team. They take charge of that. And then we have what we call, again, percentage sharing. The landowners have their share. Then the community also have our share. And then also we do a lot of development projects with it, like our schools. Whatever they need, then we put our hand in the coffers and
how many foreigners do come here?
Oh, at times they even exceed with the locals.
I mean foreigners.
Yes. I mean, what I mean is they even exceed the locals at times.
And they,
like
and they pay how much?
They pay 20 cedis per head.
Wow. Why should the price or the rate be subject to personal review depending on situations, or they are fixed price?
They are fixed. It is on paper, documented.
Right, before I go, I want to leave you with this. So yesterday, those customers of the defunct banks that were collapsed have been to CBG branches across the country to go collect their funds. Now, it just occurred to me, as they go out there, and this particular lady, who you can see on your screens right now, indicated how she went to the bank, and having been frustrated for so long, she thought that she should just take all her money from the bank. Now, I think it's not a smart thing to do, because if you're going out there to take your monies away from the bank in cash, you're likely to be a victim of an armed robbery. So it's not really smart to take all the money. It's better to find a way of transferring the money without holding the cash with you. I thought I should let the customers know this, and probably the bank put something in place for the customers. That'll be it for Business Live. I'm Israel Lai. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening.